Good evening, local warriors. This is Dana Zulik, and welcome to Local Wars. So, time blindness is real. I love my favorite YouTuber is one of them. I have several, but Emily D. Baker. I'm a huge fan of, and she always talks about neurodivergency and how time blindness is a real thing, people. So my intention was to start at 6, and then I had all these like crazy things happen. My ring light decided to not be a ring light anymore. So luckily there was another ring light. It's a good thing that I used to be a photographer in a former life. No, once a photographer, always a photographer. I'll get back to it one of these days. But so I had to find another ring light, and then the video. There's this silly video that I want to share. And it's one of the few times I actually had somebody record when I'm trying to get an open record request. And this time, it was back in 2019. And the time frame we're going to be talking about tonight is from about 2018 to 2020. And the reason for this is the Court of Appeals decision that we went over in the last episode, the Scenic Pit versus Village of Richfield decision, came down in 2017. And then the village tried again, and we went to the Court of Appeals again, and Richfield lost. And so this time period that I'm going to be covering tonight is all after the Village of Richfield was told. I mean, basically, guys, with all due respect, I mean, call it gloating, call it what it is, but they got their asses spanked. The Village of Richfield got a big spankaroo right on the boom, right on the buttocks. You got spanked. A big spank, and it wasn't a hand slap. It wasn't minor. The Court of Appeals basically told Richfield, knock it off. No. With very strong language, and we're going to cover some of that strong language again tonight. The last episode, I thought it was really boring. My friend was like, "Oh no, it was really informative, and I really liked it, and you need these episodes." And I'm like, "Okay, well, when I'm reading the stuff, I love it. It's just hard for me to believe that my viewers would love it too." But anyways, so this video that I found, and I'm not sure, I hope I did it right. It took forever. This is a video of me going into the village hall asking for an open record. And this particular time, I actually put up a sign on the counter that said, "The Village of Richfield refuses to give me open records." So I'm clearly following up on an older records request. And they like to play these games where it's like, they're supposed to get back to you within 10 days and this, but I can go to other municipalities and they don't give me this runaround. It's like too easy, right? They're like, "Oh, you need a record? Let me look at that. Okay, there you go, ma'am." But not at the Village of Richfield if you're Dana Zulik or Carla Whitcomb or other people that have been identified as people that I don't even know if we're considered people, really. So we're like dehumanized, and they weaponize their ordinances, and it's just crazy. But anyway, so this is one of those times, and you can see the interaction between me and Jim Healy. So let's see if I can go ahead and play that video. I don't know how this works. Let's see. I'm finished filling those.
Thanks.
Do you have my records?
No.
Are you planning on getting them to me today?
I'm sorry?
Are you planning on giving them to me today?
As soon as practical, without delay. Thank you.
Which is what? I was still talking. You always just walk away when your customers are talking? He left. I'll take that as a no. Well, I'll be. And that's an interaction. I don't see any violence. He's like a robot. Like a robot. He's still as soon as practical, without delay. Well, what does that... Let's watch it over time. It's so silly. I'm finished filling those.
Thanks.
Do you have my records?
No.
Are you planning on getting them to me today?
I'm sorry?
Are you planning on giving them to me today?
As soon as practical and without delay. Thank you.
Which is what? Oh, I was still talking. You always just walk away when your customers are talking? He left. I'll take that as a no. Well, I'll be. Yep. So your tax dollars hard at work there filling those records requests or playing silly little games with Dana Zulik because we're upset that the Court of Appeals spanked our little behinds in the court. Come on. Ugh, so silly. Okay, so we're going to go over a few things that the Court of Appeals said, just to remind anybody who doesn't, maybe isn't as entertained at the whole case being read aloud by yours truly. So let's go to, let me see here, share screen. Okay, so these are emails. I had to do a search for them because I was like, Jim Healy, DNR, because I know there's groups of emails everywhere and it's like, just take your pick, right? So much information. Okay, so let's go to Scenic Pit versus, so here's the appellate decision again. So the first part I want to highlight is the very beginning. The siting of landfills is understandably, let me see what my thing looks like. Oh, there we go. Understandably fraught with controversy. In response, the state of Wisconsin has seen fit to preempt local neighborly battles for the common good by establishing a statewide landfill regulatory scheme. So guys, very first paragraph, the judge is saying, look, it's understandable that these are going to be fraught with controversy. So in response to that, the state of Wisconsin has seen fit to basically prevent local neighborly battles for the common good. Because look at what's happening. Look at the tax dollars that Richfield has spent fighting this case. And the case law was clear. The reason they're not allowed to do this is for this reason, because there's a few upset people in the community about the pit. Did they ever take it to referendum? Did they ask the community overall, like their thoughts about the Scenic Pit? Well, the state doesn't seem to. The state of Wisconsin says, well, it's important that we know what residents feel about it. But like in this case, you've got some people with some power throwing around their weight. And those are the emails we're going to go over tonight. Richfield there's another spot in here. I don't know how I can, is it Command F? Let's see, Doomsday. Let's look up Doomsday. Here we go. So the villages, oh, here we go. Here's another one. The legislature has expressly withdrawn the village's power to act. Pretty simple. And as far as Doomsday, it says it, which is referring to the village of Richfield, offers a doomsday scenario in response. According to the village, Scenic's interpretation would allow a clean fill facility to be sited literally anywhere in Wisconsin, subject to a few limited restrictions imposed by the DNR. But as the DeRosa court noted, DNR has not allowed clean fill facilities to go completely unregulated. The DNR has established an alternative regulatory scheme designed to ensure that the plaintiff's facility does not compromise the integrity of the environment or the health of the city's residents, citing DeRosa. So it's not this doomsday scenario. So when we talk about this doomsday scenario, let's talk about what the Court of Appeals is saying. This is why Richfield isn't allowed to regulate sites like mine, clean fill facilities, because of this need to like create this like, oh my God, it's all going to be bad. But we need them. Every single person benefits from sites that need to take clean fill, just like they benefited from it when it was mined out with the gravel, right? The gravel from this pit back in from 63 to approximately 78 when it was mined, it built a lot of downtown Milwaukee and most of 794 when it was being constructed. Don't quote me on that. That's what drivers have told me. There's a lot of guys who, been driving for decades. Oh, I used to haul out of this pit. And I love hearing their stories. It's really cool. So let's go back to this document and let's kind of look at after the Court of Appeals made this ruling. What did Jim Healy proceed to do instead of stopping, right? Now that the DNR is the regulatory authority, it seems to me that there's this odd obsession. It's like, wait a minute, though. Like, he still wants to be the hall monitor. He still, Jim Healy wants to be the hall monitor. So, let's go to... Okay, let's start off with this spreadsheet. So Jim, hold on, let me go back to this. I can never figure out the right tab to use for this kind of stuff. Okay, so this is a spreadsheet, okay? And it's basically a log of all of the complaints that the county sheriff's department received regarding mud on the road for Scenic Pit. So let's see, can I make that bigger? So the number of complaints they have from, hi Paige. Well, if I'm going to let you hang out with Mom during podcasts, you're going to have to just lay down. I see you want to be on camera though. English Mastiffs, they're the sweetest things, but man, she just wants to lean against me. Here, do you want to lay down? You can lay down. Okay, so this chart basically, let's see. So that's my address, debris on the road, January 2018 through January of 2020. So it looks like they started in June. That's about when we started operating. Okay, so it shows here the case number, the deputy time, the original complaint. But look, guys, so there are 15 complaints in an 18-month period, even though it says 2 years. This one, no hazard. This one, no hazard. Third one, no hazard. 4, owner will clean at the end of the day. 5, small stone, dirt, tractor with broom will clean later. 6, no hazard. 7, no hazard. 8, no hazard. 9, no hazard. Number 10, significant amount that posed a hazard to motorists. Owner advised she would clean it to her standards. Now, that's based off of, I don't know who's putting that language in there. It seems like things kind of get twisted around, and I don't think I ever said I'm going to clean it to my standards. Okay. I probably said I'll sweep the road. 11, no hazard. 12, no hazard. 13, no hazard. Look at how much of this time. Look at this. Okay. I wonder if it took Jim Healy this much time to make, how much time is he spending putting all this together? Okay, number 14. Owner was told to clean road. She refused, saying she is harassed. The DNR recently cited her for the same issue. Okay, so the DNR did cite me. I paid the fines. Okay. We had just opened. This is new for me. And as I've shared in this podcast before, they can sit and make this sound like this is about dirt in the road. Okay. But is this really about dirt in the road? No, this is about the fact that they lost a case and they're pissed and they're going to micromanage and they're going to extra, even like that news article said, they've asked the DNR to tighten their reins on this business. Well, why are you treating me differently than any other clean fill facility? There's another clean fill facility in the village of Richfield. And yes, mud gets tracked out of their sight from time to time. It happens, just like farmer fields, whatever. Am I taking away all of my responsibility? Am I deflecting and saying, "Oh, this isn't my fault?" No. I needed to get better at keeping mud off of the road. I feel that we've done a much better of that, and we still continue to improve, but now, things are better. We've taken measures that needed to be taken. I am still in court with the DNR going over things, um, some non-compliance issues, and that'll be taken care of. But the point that I'm getting at tonight is Richfield was removed from all of that. There's an enforcement mechanism in Chapter 289. The DNR has enforcement agency. They're the wardens, right? And so when I get ticketed, that's where I get the ticket from. That's what the state courts have decided, and that's the way that it should be. Why is Jim Healy, like, peppering emails to everybody and, talking about secret meet? We'll go through the emails. They're just silly. They're silly, and it's only a few people, and those people's names will be mentioned because they're just the main players in all of this. They're the main players. So I don't think I ever refused to clean the road, by the way. I'm not quite sure where that's coming from. Um, but that's okay. Jim Healy and other people like to make it sound like when I stand up for my rights that I'm crazy and being ridiculous. And like they use words like, um, well, we'll read it tonight. You'll see the words. And number 15, no hazard. So there you have it, folks. 15 complaints to the sheriff's department in a 2-year period. 11 say literally no hazard in capital bold, and the rest are I'm going to clean it later. And then there's this one kind of questionable interaction. Now you're going to see how Jim Healy creates this doomsday scenario with this one out of 15, one interaction. Okay. Okay, here's some discussion. We're just going to, these are in no particular order. Let's just keep going through them. So this one is from Brooke Robinson from the DNR. And she just says, thank you, Jim. So this is from Jim Healy to a neighbor named Mark Minsky. Now, Mark Minsky, I believe he's a CFO for a company. He's had a lot to say since the beginning. I remember our first attorney, Mark, had sent him an email, and he said, well, when my property value goes down, are you going to pay me the difference? And my attorney said, well, if your property value goes up, are you going to give us the difference? This guy, this guy is so angry. Okay, I spoke with the DNR yesterday and the day before, and perhaps it would be good of us to all, oh, wait, nope, I'm sorry. Let me back up. This is from Jim Healy to Mark. I have to use a different voice. Okay. I spoke with the DNR yesterday and the day before, and perhaps it would be good of us to all get together once more to discuss the property. How many times do you think they met? Like, what's once more? Once more, one more time out of the 236 times we've what? I wonder, it would have been nice if they invited me. However, now keep in mind the DNR has said, "Nah, Richfield, you're done." However, I would mention the DNR has ticketed the property owner 4 times in the last 2 weeks. Each ticket is approximately, oh, I forgot to do my voice. Each ticket is approximately $1,200. They've also advised me that they will continue to ticket her for non-compliance and are prepared, if they have to involve the Department of Justice. I would be happy to speak with you or Mr. and Mrs. Craig regarding my conversations with the DNR this week, if you were available to do so. Plenty of time. Jim Healy has got all the time in the world to talk to you about Scenic Pit and the property. Even though the Court of Appeals has said, hey, guess what? To prevent local neighborly battles, we've removed your right. Okay. Ugh. Broken record, Dana. Okay. And yes, did I get a ticket? Yes, I did. Hardly a doomsday scenario, okay? I also want to mention every time there was like a rain, like it would rain. I don't know if they would like listen for the first few trucks and like run over and get them, but because like you sweep after there's been mud, and I was learning. And not to mention all the harassment going on. I challenge anybody to successfully run their business properly when you've got these kind of shenanigans going on. And if you're wondering what those shenanigans are, you can go back to the other episodes, and it shows you all the different things they've done. And they admit openly that they're trying to stop the business. So this is from Mark to Brooke Robinson. Thank you very much for providing me this notice. The next question I have is that did she respond within 24 hours and a reformal response within 14 days? If so, can I obtain a copy? If not, is she being fined $10,000 a day? Is there an option to shut down the operation until the issues are completely resolved? I have not seen any action taken regarding these violations. Thank you for your support. So then she sent the notice of noncompliance. Then she says she's received numerous complaints. That was to me, which we knew about. Okay, let's see here. So here's Jim Healy. Okay. From Jim Healy to Marilyn and Paul Craig, Brooke Robinson, and the board. Hello, Brooke. Today at 4:15, I received a call from my DPW supervisor who indicated he was contacted by our county sheriff's office. The Washington County Sheriff's Office was requesting that we, the village of Richfield, clean the roadway in front of the Scenic Pit property. Because of the poor condition the road was in and because the property owner could not be found or contacted. The officer believed it was a safety hazard. Based on his observations, my inclination was to close the road down over his concern for safety. Given the gravity of the situation, I wanted to speak with my village president and the village attorney before I authorized the road to be closed. Just before 5 p.m., I made contact with the officer for a second time for an update. Contact was eventually made with the property owner, and it was agreed upon that the property owner was going to take a skid steer onto Scenic Road to clean both travel lanes from the entry point to the property heading southbound. So I just want to say a couple of things about this. It's actually pretty standard if there's a dirty road for a municipality to come and clean it. And then it's sort of like the noxious weeds things or something, and then they bill the property owner. So this isn't like their option was to sweep a road. They have a sweeper. And the DNRs mentioned that to them as well. And they're not really that interested in solving problems. They're just interested in stopping business to Scenic Pit. And what I find interesting about that is I know that the county sweeps for other clean fill sites in our area and gravel pits. So the county does it already. This isn't an unusual request. The DNR is kind of like, well, why didn't you just sweep the road then? Like, if you're worried about a hazard, take away the hazard. Right? I know it sounds like I'm deflecting my responsibility. I get it, guys. I got to keep the road clean. I'm just letting you know that he's creating these doomsday things. It's like they're just waiting. They're biting at the bit to get me, right? Biting at the bit. So here he goes with this interaction that we just discussed in the previous slide. I'm assuming that's what this interaction was, right? There's no date, or I guess it does say the case number. Let's match it up. 1944296. I'm going to lose my page if I go back. Here, it's this one. So it's not even this one. It's the significant amount that posed a hazard to motorists. Owner advised she would clean it to her standards. Okay. So let's see now. Let's go back to, I told you I was going to lose my spot. Here we go. My understanding from speaking with the officer was the property owner became combative and upset regarding his request to make sure the road was safe and traversable for the traveling public. I was upset and combative. Guys, I don't want mud on the road. Geesh. In summary, the property owner didn't think the officer's request was reasonable, even with visible mudslicks in the travel lanes on the road and rocks, debris everywhere. Okay, I hope that's on body cam. Because that doesn't sound accurate. Like, does that even sound... I don't think that the officer's request was reasonable, that mudslick. So first of all, I wasn't home clearly. And there were some mudslicks on the road, and I didn't care. No, what I was probably upset about was the continuing, like, phone calls and because even though these are the ones they actually put down as contacts, you have to remember, one of the things that I'm claiming in this federal case is that the village of Richfield has, well, actually, I should say the Washington County Sheriff's Department has been dispatched to my property almost 700 times in the past 10 years. So these are 15 times that they've come because of complaints directly to their department, but that doesn't mean they're not driving by and bothering me all the time, like all the time. The officer felt so strongly regarding his concern for the safety of traveling motorists that he decided to create a police report regarding their interaction for the edification of his supervisors and the DNR. The case number is 1944296. Once the report is finalized and ready for public consumption, I will forward it to your attention. Well, it's a good thing that the Washington County Sheriff's Department can't give me tickets for all of this, any of this, because the Court of Appeals have said that it's not their jurisdiction. They're not supposed to regulate, monitor, supervise, any of this. This was all supposed to be as simple as call the DNR, they send out a warden, the warden talks to me. Period. Any responsible business owner in a same or similar circumstance would allow the county to sweep their road for them. Because that's what actually happens. The county sweeps the road for them. Okay. Wouldn't have waited to do such work in the dark during peak traffic hours when I got home, but doomsday scenario. It should be done according to the DNR technical standards. I agree, contained in the whip test permit and completed proactive matter. Here we go. Here's Jim Healy, Detective Healy, Police Chief Healy. A little after 5 p.m., I drove to the subject property myself and made several passes north and south. As you know, the topography of this area is undulating. Okay, Paige, you're going to get kicked out. And my sincere fear is that one day I'm going to get a call because someone was killed as a result of the wanton disregard for safety or for the department's BMPs that continually to be blatantly ignored. Here's a fun spot. This type of abhorrent behavior is unlike anything I've ever seen in my career, and since the Court of Appeals has all but neutered the village's authority. Interesting choice of words, Jim. Is that how you feel? Do you feel neutered? Projection much? The Court of Appeals has all but neutered the village's authority. No, they have neutered. Not only the villages, but your authority, Jim Healy. I gotta let my dog out. I'll be right back. And maybe I sound a little like, I don't like sounding mean. I don't want to make fun of people, but this man is so obsessed over like you don't even have to worry about it, Jim. You don't have to worry about it. Stay in your lane. It's none of your business anymore. Like, what are you doing, right? I am making an appeal to the DNR to please take the next step in your progressive enforcement procedure. You've seen how poorly this operation continues to be run and how it is truly impacting safety. Oh, here's another Maryland one, guys. I was thinking about doing an email every Monday. Call it like Maryland Mondays or something. Brooke. At 8:45 p.m., my husband and I drove past Scenic Pit on our way home from an event. The mud, dirt, rocks on the road from this business are still the same since my husband passed the property earlier in the day around 2 p.m. The only difference he noticed was that traffic beat some of the debris away. Okay. Anyways, let's look down here. As a now retired Department of Corrections employee, I cringe to think what our justice system would be like if we investigated or handed down punishment to violators the way the DNR does. Upset? You bet. I'm ready to move, and this was my forever home. Keep in mind, guys, these are the people that were screaming this doomsday scenario that the Court of Appeal points out in their decision before operations ever began. They're creating the doomsday scenario that they said they thought were going to happen. That didn't sound right, but hopefully you understood what I meant. It goes back to that a hammer only sees a nail, right? Confirmation bias. What's the doomsday scenario? Some mud gets on the road. I have to be better at cleaning the road. If the road is a hazard and you have a sweeper, come sweep it. But that's not what they're trying to do. They're not trying to protect the public health and safety. They're trying to shut down the Scenic Pit and run me out of town. And if their excuse is all of these terrible bad things to the groundwater, then why are they not having the brimstone and I almost said brimstone and fire, but that goes back to my days in the church. I've been pitchforks and torches. But where are the pitchforks and torches for the contamination across the street, for the clean fill facility by Piggly Wiggly? They take low hazardous waste, right? Where's the outcry? Or the fact that the Amy Bell School has, contaminated drinking water, higher levels than they want from the nitrates. Where's the outcry? Where's the concern? This isn't about, they're acting like I'm like this big corporation or something. Okay? I'm a person doing the best I can with a lot of people who want me to fail. And I struggled with keeping mud off of the road. I bought this special tracking pad system. It was crap. It was absolute crap. That didn't work, and I've done some other things. Now we've got it pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Pretty happy with it. I think we got this down. And you know what it took? It took me asking for help from my buddies. And I was with the Army Corps of Engineers, guys. I was an Army engineer. Any Army engineers out there, I was vertical, right? Carpenter, like Jesus. People are like, what'd you do in the Army? And I was a recruiter, so I always say job, because the acronyms, we when you're a recruiter, you have to kind of make it more civilian. So people, what was your job in the Army? And I'm like, a carpenter like Jesus. Stupid. But so I have buddies, and I was off of Silver Spring over here. So, a lot of people that live locally, and I asked for their help, and you know what? They helped me. And it was great. It was fantastic. And then when things get hard again, and you'll see over time on this channel, It's a really hard thing to share, right? Because I've said it a million times, I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. I had a lot to learn from. But what's most important is that I do learn and I do try to get better and I do keep moving forward. These people want me to fail. And if it's up to me, I'm not going to. And if it's up to those who support me and love me, I'm not going to. Let's keep going. So fun, guys. I hope you're at least learning something new. I haven't enjoyed reading these things. They're kind of ridiculous. Oh, here's a fun one from Mark Minsky. CC'd on here is Cheryl Bailey, Doug Petrozates, Christy and Doug Felton. I don't know who. Prime Egg is Landy Hansen. Okay. I ran into Landy Hansen once walking around the trails over here. Was I mowing? And he stops me and he's like, "You are not allowed on these trails." And I'm like, "Right, but you don't live in Windermere either, so you're not allowed on these trails." And he's like, "I have permission to walk on these trails." And I said, "Well, good, so do I," because I had reached out to the HOA president at that time. And I was like, "Do you want me to keep mowing like the Holtzes used to, the previous property owners? I don't want anyone to get mad." He's like, "Just keep doing what you're doing. If someone has a problem, then just stop." Well, the problem was fine. It was not a problem until Landy Hansen confronts me, and he's not even from Windermere. The cops come that day and they're like, you are no longer allowed. Like, you will be trespassing on their trail. I'm okay. Sounds good. But during the conversation with Landy, he's like, I said, "Well, you know about agriculture." And he got all weird. Like, "How do you know where I work? Why would you know anything about where I work?" I said, "Landy, you filed affidavits in my case. Like, the first thing my attorneys did was look up where you work." I mean, he was acting like I'm the one. Is that projection again? He's acting like I'm the one who gives a crap about what he does for a living. I'm just like, because he's talking to me and lecturing me about the property. And I'm like, "Well, you're in agriculture. You should know. Not one farmer on the planet would want this property. Every farmer that's come here has been like, 'Why do you want this property?' Right? It doesn't harvest. You can't harvest anything. You can't grow anything." But Landy was real suspicious that I knew where he worked. Well, guess what, Landy? Don't file affidavits in court trying to stop my business. And then I wouldn't know where you work because I wouldn't give a shit. I still don't actually give a shit. I only gave a shit because my attorneys told me, and I was like, "Well, that's weird. You'd think he'd know more, He ended up selling. Didn't move very far, though. In fact, I think he can maybe hear the pit a little bit better where he moved to. I think there's more echo or something. I don't know. I really don't care. But here we are. Okay. But here's Mark Minsky. He's like, "Jim, will you be filing a formal request regarding my formal complaint of the property condition? It is a total eyesore and slum. The front door is hanging open. Furniture is in the front yard and window blinds are ripped. Siding is in disrepair. If it was any other house in the neighborhood, it would have been condemned by now. We need to take action now." Did you like that, guys? Did I get dramatic enough for you? Was that dramatic enough? Okay. Mark. Let's have a little chat. So I have this little thing. I'm like, well, somebody needs to bring the class down around here just a I mean, these guys are living in like these amazing houses, but the pit was here way before you. And then you're going to judge my house. Okay. So I've basically been trying to financially make my way through all of this litigation, unnecessary litigation at the cost to taxpayers in the tune of $800,000 or more from the village of Richfield. So you can only imagine how much my bill is, right? I think it's close to like 200,000. I don't know. I'd have to go back and do all the math. It's well over 150 without even blinking. But you're right. Let me get on that, Mark. You're pissed off because you didn't get your way and the court decided against. So now you're going to go after my home and have it condemned. What in the actual... I didn't know people like this actually existed. And it makes me feel bad for people in communities that are struggling. It's not very, like, a lot of these people claim to be Christians. A lot of them. I don't know about Mark Minsky. I don't know enough about him to know anything like that. But I know Paul Craig. And that woman whose children go to school with my children, and they're churchy people. And these are the people they're surrounding themselves with, trying to chase me out of town and get her a doomsday scenario, and her house needs to be condemned. Ew. I'm not the one living in a HOA, sir. If I wanted to live with more regulations and more bullshit, I would have moved into an HOA. Maybe I paint my house pink. Is there an ordinance? I don't know. Actually, there is a house in Richfield that's pink, and I think it's adorable. I think a pink house could be fun. I like my white farmhouse, though. Oh, here's some fun stuff, guys. We're literally getting new siding, windows and doors, new roof, gutters. I'm so excited. We just got the heat put in. We got natural gas, and we just got our new furnace installed. And being in an old farmhouse, it's really kind of interesting. It's like this frozen in time historical place because we have we used to have oil burning furnace for downstairs and then an LP furnace for upstairs. And it was just weird having to, like, call one place to bring us oil and then another place to fill up our gas tank. Well, now we just have natural gas. We're like normal people now. And they came and did the whole house. We had to build a few false walls or whatever, but I actually like it. It kind of adds dimension to those rooms. So one of these days I'll take you on a tour. I'll put together like a video or something. Like a pre-planned video that's edited, and we'll kind of go on a little meet and greet around the pit and kind of show you the measures we're taking now to get back in compliance with the DNR and kind of what we're up to. It's a neat thing. It really is. I mean, if you think about it, places that are built like Children's Hospital, Freighter, there's all kinds of jobs I can name you guys. Amy Bell's school, all the dirt from that project went into the pit. So a lot of it is just, I feel like we're a part of something. Like, all the gravel came out to help build the metropolitan area in Milwaukee. And then these projects that are still good for us in our communities, right? The dirt needs to go somewhere, and it's just going back into the old gravel pit. It's kind of neat. Kind of neat to be a part of. And so we can kind of show you how things work here with the trucks, and we can let you meet Sue, the ticket lady, and Courtney, the manager, and maybe even Dozer Dave will make an appearance, but he's going to be too busy dozing and telling everybody where to put their loads of dirt. So that's what he'll be doing. I think I had one more thing I was going to cover. You know what? I was going to cover the boundary dispute tonight, but I kind of like these episodes being a little shorter like this. They're a little more digestible. So maybe tomorrow, I always say that, and then remember, time blindness is a real thing, but maybe that'll give me a really good solid topic to talk about tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to go live at some point. Let me know in the comments what time is good for you guys. A lot of people are sending me like private messages or texts too. You can do that. And then we'll go live tomorrow, and we'll go over this silly boundary dispute that the neighbors filed in court. And it happened after actually, this happened right before this. We'll do a timeline. One of these days, we're going to get that timeline in the graph that I talk about. But tonight, I just wanted to kind of show you how the Court of Appeals in their decision, very clearly acknowledged that, you know, it's understandable that communities are going to get all up in arms over, you know, a facility like this. But how much better do you think it would have been if, like, Richfield would not have spent as much time sending sheriff's department by me? Jim Healy wouldn't be spending all this time and resources after they lost. They should have never even picked the battle to begin with because it was well settled case law, but they chose to. People ask me all the time, they're like, well, didn't the village attorney tell Richfield that this was well settled case law? And I have no idea. I have no idea because they talk about this stuff in closed session. Now, there's nothing saying that one of these board members that are in these closed sessions can't tell us what he's giving advice about. There's nothing saying that there's no like non-disclosure or anything. Like a board member can talk about what they talk about in closed session. That'd be great. So maybe if one of the board members ever listens to one of these episodes, and if you listen to this episode, I'm inviting you to please let us know. Did John Macy give you the proper advice? Was he honest with the board? Did he tell you that the village of Richfield had a slim to none chance of winning this case because it was well settled case law that cited to pass things like concealed care? I mean, come on, what are you doing? It was strategy to chase me out of town. This wasn't about the law. So that's my invitation for tonight. All you board members out there, let's go through your names. Trustee Tom Wolf. Trustee, is it Pam Schmidt? I don't know your first name. Trustee Litzow. Trustee Dan Nye, you've been there forever. You were there through the whole thing. Dan, I do have something to say to Trustee Dan Nye. There's something about you that tells me you're a really good person. Don't be that guy. Maybe you hate me, I don't know. But I get this feeling when we've made eye contact that there's a part of you that knows. You know what's going on here. It'd be so cool if you did the right thing, buddy. It really would. It only takes one person to make change. I lost hope a long time ago that you would. But who knows? Tomorrow's a new day. You never know. And then John Jeffords. Any one of you guys, there's a slim chance in hell. I mean, pigs would have to fly for John Jeffords to ever admit, but you know, the prior board members too. Sandy Voss. You were there for those closed sessions. Did John Macy lie to you? Was he honest with you? Did you as a trustee know that you had almost no chance of winning this case? Or were you sold the same thing that John Macy sold to the community? That we won on a loophole? It would be interesting to know. I would love to know. So that's my request. I think that's about all I'm going to do tonight. So we went through some emails. We talked about how Mark Minsky thinks my house should be condemned. It's not up to his standards. Cool. We went over Jim Healy and going over the amount of hours that have been spent on the dirty road and how out of those 15 contacts, 11 of them were found to have no hazards. I was basically made to sound like I was some combative weird person that wanted mud on the road. So we went through it all. I did the best I could, guys. You can form your own opinions, do some research. As always, if you want any of this information, I'm happy to send it to anybody. Just send me an email at localwarswi@gmail.com. Also remember, look out for friends and family and yourself. Take care of yourself. And as always, we have the crisis line number right here. I'm going to keep it up for all of my episodes. It's a very helpful resource. You don't have to actually be wanting to hurt yourself or anything like that. You can just be overwhelmed. But if you are having those ideations and things, give them a call, please. That's what they're there for. Now my mom's calling me, so she must not be one of the viewers right now. Please subscribe and like, and for the replay crew, please share with their friends. The more subscribers we have, the more messages we can get out. I'm so excited. I'm lining up new guests, so we're going to be having guests on this show. So you don't have to just hear about my saga. You get to hear about everybody else's saga too. Make it a little more interesting. And it's going to be a really fun journey to watch this page grow. Okay. I know I'm opening myself up for a lot of criticism, but that's okay, guys. I've got my alligator skin now. I can take it. We just take accountability for the things that we can change, right? And I'm determined to change the way that our local government operates. And I just want to remind everybody that if our country falls, we did it to ourselves because of the people that we're allowing to run our government. And it starts right here at home in our backyard. The most amount of the most your vote will ever matter is here at the local level. Get involved. Don't be apathetic. Okay. I hope everybody has a great weekend. I promise I'm going to go live tomorrow. And we will go over the boundary dispute. And I got to try to dig up the video. There's a whole video. I've got the transcripts from the case and all kinds of just ridiculousness. So it's another layer in this story of how there's a coordinated effort to run me out of town. It's a campaign of harassment in order to silence me, stop me from doing what the courts have already said I'm allowed to do. So you guys have a great night. I love each and every single one of you, whether you believe me or not. Bye.